TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations.
Shalom and Erev Tov. Good evening. I am Mayan Hessen and this is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. Advanced military preparations for the occupation of Gaza City are ongoing as Israel marks its 700th day of war Swords of Iron. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu acknowledges that Israel will enact a unilateral response to a list of countries that intend to recognize a Palestinian state. President Isaac Herzog meets Pope Lio XIV, urging him to support efforts to release hostages from Hamas captivity. Advanced military preparations for the occupation of Gaza City are ongoing, as Israel marks the 700th day of war Swords of Iron. At the same time, up to 20 of the 48 hostages are still believed to be alive, continue to endure the brutality of Hamas captivity in the Gaza Strip. In a televised address to the nation, IDF spokesman Brigadier General Efi Defrin reiterated Israel's firm resolve to return every hostage.
Since the beginning of Operation Gideon's Chariots, the IDF recovered the bodies of 10 hostages from Gaza, men and women. To all the families of the hostages, both living and fallen, I want to state most clearly, the Southern Command, its commander, soldiers, and officers, together with the hostages and missing persons headquarters, the Intelligence Directorate, and the ISA, are investing tremendous efforts, turning over every stone to bring the hostages home. We will continue to do everything to return them.
General Defrin continued to highlight that the escalation of Operation Gideon Chariots, which has now entered its second phase, focuses on dismantling Hamas' grip over Gaza City.
In recent weeks, we began Phase 2 of Operation Gideon's Chariots. This week, we began mobilizing tens of thousands of reservists to advance the strikes against Hamas in Gaza City. The reservists serve as reinforcement support for the conscripted troops and are currently operating together with the troops on the ground. As part of the expansion of Operation Gideon's Chariots, IDF troops under the Southern Command are operating inside Gaza City. Troops from the 99th Division, including the combat teams of the Nahal Brigade and the 7th Brigade, are operating in the Zayton area, while Division 162 troops, including the combat teams of the 401st Brigade and the Javadi Brigade, are operating on the outskirts of the Sheikh Radwan neighborhood, the northern neighborhood of Gaza City.
The IDF spokesman continued to reveal that Israeli forces have already secured roughly 40% of the city, a significant step in Israel's broader campaign.
Today, we have operational control of 40% of Gaza City. The operation will continue to expand and intensify in the coming days. Hamas will face the IDF in full power in Gaza City. We will increase the pressure on Hamas until its decisive defeat. We will continue to pursue them everywhere. The IDF will continue to expand the strikes against Hamas in Gaza City. In the coming days, the mobilization of reservists will continue. I want to address the reservists and their families. We are aware of the burden placed upon you for almost 2 years. We will act to allow breathing room alongside the continued operation. The determination and spirit you bring with you enable the IDF to continue carrying out its missions. We all salute you. The mission is not yet complete. We will continue to operate professionally and with responsibility in all arenas of operation until all the war's objectives are achieved, first and foremost, the return of the hostages and the dismantling of Hamas rule.
Meanwhile, in an exclusive interview with a popular Israeli Telegram channel called AliExpress, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu declared that Hamas faces 2 clear options from which it must choose.
There are 2 options, either capitulation or annihilation. I'm talking about Hamas, not the civilian population. Either surrender or annihilation. If Plan A doesn't work, we will turn to Plan B, annihilation.
While underscoring Israel's unwavering determination to eradicate the Islamist Hamas throughout the Gaza Strip, Prime Minister Netanyahu asserted that he is keen on ending the war as quickly as possible, stating that once war concludes, opportunities for peace could be renewed.
My intention is to end the war as quickly as viable possible, which demands the move that we are undertaking. When that happens, I believe that the bottleneck for additional opportunities, to include Saudi, and with many additional countries, including Muslim countries outside of our region.
Turning to international developments, Britain, France, Canada, Australia, and Belgium have all said they will recognize a Palestinian state at the United Nations General Assembly later this month. When asked whether Israel would respond by asserting Jerusalem's sovereignty over Judea and Samaria, Prime Minister Netanyahu clarified that the entire campaign for recognition was instigated by the Palestinian Authority, which is in breach of understandings and treaties that it had adopted with Israel. The Israeli Prime Minister warned that any unilateral moves would be met with reciprocal Israeli measures.
First, whoever advances this is first and foremost the Palestinian Authority, which stands contrary to the understandings and agreements that were, and which stipulated that these matters would be determined through negotiations. Okay. But if they impose on us a unilateral move, they shouldn't be surprised when we implement unilateral moves accordingly. I won't unveil exactly what we will do.
Turning to Ecuador, where during a joint press conference, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio sharply criticized the country's pledging recognition of a Palestinian state, stressing that their motives are rooted in domestic politics and carry no real impact on the ground. Rubio stressed that Washington had warned its allies that Israel would respond with concrete, unilateral actions, steps with real consequences for the future of the internationally supported two-state framework.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, the Palestinian Authority has its own set of problems. Pay for slay. They pay people to kill Israelis. We have problems with them too. Obviously, Hamas is at a different category, but we have problems. Look, we told all these countries, we told them all. We said, if you guys do this recognition stuff, it's all fake. It's not even real. If you do it, you're going to create big problems. There's going to be a response from Israel. You're going to make it harder to get a ceasefire. And it may even trigger these sorts of actions that you've seen, or at least these attempts at these actions. So we're watching it closely. I'm not going to opine on it today, other than to tell you that we predicted this would happen. We warned everybody it would happen. But nonetheless, some of these people decided they wanted to move forward with something that's illusory. Right now, we should be focused on how do we end this war in Gaza? How do you eliminate Hamas? How do you disarm Hamas? That war could end tomorrow if Hamas just disarmed and surrendered and released the 20 hostages, which shouldn't even be there. Would end. Hamas refuses to do that. So, but that said, we don't like the humanitarian suffering. We've offered a lot of aid. We've provided a lot of aid. We're prepared to provide aid now, and we're prepared to provide a lot of aid after the war ends as well, along with other countries around the world. But as far as what you're seeing with the West Bank and the annexation, that's not a final thing. That's something that's being discussed among some elements of Israeli politics. I'm not going to opine on that today. What I am going to tell you is it was wholly predictable. We told all these countries before they went out and they did this, we told them that if they did this, if they went through with this thing, there wasn't going to be a Palestinian state, because that's not the way a Palestinian state is going to happen, because they have a press conference somewhere. And we told them that it would lead to these sort of reciprocal actions, and it would make a ceasefire harder.
Secretary Rubio continued by reiterating his frustration with the French announcement of its intention to recognize a Palestinian state, saying it was a key reason the Islamist Hamas walked away from the negotiating table.
The day that the French announced their thing, the thing they did, that day Hamas walked away from the negotiating table. They immediately increased their demands and walked away and stopped negotiating. So that we also warned that would happen. And it did. So, but sometimes, these guys don't listen. They do what they're going to do because of their own domestic politics, which is fine. But these are consequences of that.
Back in Jerusalem, families of hostages and their supporters demonstrated outside of the president's residence last night. Among them was Vicky Cohen, whose son, IDF soldier Nimrod Cohen, remains in captivity. She called on President Isaac Herzog to raise his voice to further their imperative cause of bringing the hostages home. The protest came as Herzog was on a state visit to the Vatican, where he met with Pope Lio XIV. During their meeting, Herzog urged the Pope to intensify international efforts to secure the release of the 48 remaining hostages held by Hamas terrorists for 700 days. He stressed the immediate and grave danger they face and the deep anguish of their families, He also requested that the Pope meet personally with the hostage families. Beyond the hostage crisis, President Herzog also addressed the rise in global anti-Semitism, the importance of protecting minorities in the Middle East, particularly Christian communities and the Druze communities in Syria, as well as the well-being of Christian communities in Israel, Judea and Samaria, and Gaza. Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. Please continue to pray for the hostages and for the peace of Jerusalem. If you are blessed by TV7 Israel, which relies entirely on viewer donations, we invite you to support our productions at www.tv7israelnews.com. I am Isaac Herzog. Until our next update, Shalom from Jerusalem.